Good evening. My name is Karina Wilkes. I'm going to talk about the Kabbalah tonight. And the first thing about Kabbalah is that a lot of people think it represents God. It does not. God is nowhere in this diagram. Instead, it is a diagram of the progression of power, the emanation of power in the process of creation. It is a process that can be seen not only in God's creation, but also in our creation. It is a process that is iterative, and that's the process that I'm going to talk about tonight. At the very top here is Kether, and Kether represents the sum of all possible things that can be done, the sum of all existence, the sum of all ideas. It is the absolute light, the sum of everything that is possible. And although we might like to think that that represents God, it is not. It is just everything that the universe can spit out for us. Okay? The second Sefer is called Kokma, and Kokma represents one idea out of the many. It is one idea that is crystallized out and made and is worked on as an idea. So it is a definition of one specific thing out of the infinite amount of things that can be. Opposite Kokma is Bina. And Bina is, if Kokma is the perfect definition of something, then Bina is its representation in real life. It is its actual structure. So for example, let's say that out of the infinite ideas that we have, we come up with an idea called a peanut butter sandwich. And on this peanut butter sandwich, we define it as 2 slices of bread with peanut butter slapped in the middle. And that definition occurs in Kokma. Well, what Bina would do, Bina would then look around and say, okay, what do we have available? And let's say the only bread that we have available is unleavened bread. And so our peanut butter sandwich would then be 2 slices of unleavened bread with peanut butter on it. And we check back with Kokma and says, okay, it's 2 slices of bread with peanut butter, and so it is a peanut butter sandwich. Now, of course, there are many types of breads and there are many types of peanut butter. So each one of those variations then becomes a structure or a representation in the physical that falls under Bina. Chesed, so the first triad here is called wisdom. It is the mental projection of an idea from a set of infinite ideas and how it can be structured within our physical universe. As we move down into the second triad of Chesed, Vegevra, and Tepereth, this represents the test of whether or not the idea is being held to. So in the next one, in Chesed is called the king, and he is the verifier. He makes judgment calls of whether or not whatever Bina is calling a peanut butter sandwich is really a peanut butter sandwich. So let's say that Bina has made a peanut butter sandwich with biscuits and peanut butter, but she's also created something new. It is a peanut butter sandwich with bananas on it. And so Chesed gets this new structure and he says, does this fit the definition that Kokma has made? Is this really a peanut butter sandwich? And he judges it as yes. Okay, it does have the peanut butter, it does have the 2 slices of bread, it meets the criteria. So yes, we're going to pass it on as a peanut butter sandwich. What happens in Vegevra is called the host or the army. It is the collection of all the structures. So here we have Bina has, given us biscuits and flatbread and wheat bread with peanut butter on it. And all of these are collected in Vegevra as a reflection of all these different structures that meet the criteria of a sandwich in Vegevra. Sephiroth is where all the ideas eventually come to rest. Sephiroth represents the kingdom. And the kingdom is, of course, the actual place where all these ideas are placed into. And so now we have all the sandwiches and every other idea that ever came out of Kokma placed here in Sephiroth. Sephiroth means beauty. It is the kingdom being made one idea at a time, one thing at a time, being placed perfectly within its structure. So that completes the second triad of Chesed, Gevurah, and Sephiroth, which is the king, the host, and the kingdom. And these first six Sefer create a circle, and it's the circle of creation, pure creation, with no judgment attached to it. It's just pure creation going on. But as we go down into Netzach, Had, and Yesod, we'll see that this is where we evaluate what is created. And we say, is this good? Just like God created the light. And afterwards, he went down into the Netzach, Had, and Yesod part of it, and he said, it is good. Okay? That's the judgment side. So Netzach is our emotional judgment of what is created in Sephiroth. Netzach says, I see the peanut butter sandwich and I like peanut butter sandwiches, but do I like, let's say, the peanut butter sandwich with bananas on it? And maybe Netzach doesn't like it. Ooh, I hate that. That's just nasty. Let's not make peanut butter sandwiches with bananas on it. So Netzach is the emotional reaction to whatever is made in Sephiroth. Had, on the other side of that, as judgment, is the intellectual judgment. So let's say that on our sandwich with bananas, the bananas are shipped in from thousands of miles away. And Had says, that's pretty wasteful to ship these bananas in from 1,000 miles away. We shouldn't have sandwiches made with resources that we have to ship from that far away. And so what happens is, based on whatever judgments are made in Netzach or Had, there arises a law in Yesod. Yesod is called the foundation. Every government is founded on law. And so Yesod is the law. And there might be a rule that is put in place. No bananas can be used on a sandwich that are shipped more than 500 miles from the place where it's going to be consumed. That is the law. Now, the only way to get rid of the law is to go back up into Kether and to pull out another idea that could maybe solve that problem or solve that objection. And maybe we have another idea called, a greenhouse. And those greenhouses can be set up closer to where the sandwich will be consumed, and therefore we can have bananas that are made closer to home. And therefore that would fulfill or get rid of the law that was made in Yesod. And out of this process of creation and judgment, we then have the finished product that is pushed out into Malkuth, which is called the kingdom, or the throne, actually. And so this Malkuth is actually a reflection of Sephiroth, but after it has been passed through judgment. And that is an overview of the creation process. The process starts in Kether, and it follows what's called the lightning strike, the zigzag pattern of movement through the tree. It's not a straight up and down or random sort of path. It goes from Kether to Kokma, to Bina, to Chesed, to Gevurah, to Sephiroth, to Netzach, to Had, to Yesod, and then down to Malkuth. And this kind of completes the overview of the Sefer, but of course in between the Sefer there are 22 paths, and those 22 paths represent, or they are reflective of, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And each one of those alphabet have a meaning. They are actually drawings, like pictograms, kind of like hieroglyphs, that depict human action or objects that we use, and they have a meaning that is connected to that path. And maybe in another video I'll go into what those Hebrew letters mean and why they are placed on the tree of life in the pattern that they represent. For now, we are all set. Have a good one.